Om Aneka Janma Samprapta Karma Bandha Vidahine Atma Jnana Pradhanena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Na Guru Radhigam Tattvam Na Guru Radhigam Tapaha Tattva Jnanat Param Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma Tvameva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma Tvameva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma. Om Amriteshwari Namah. We'll begin with a short meditation. Kindly sit straight and make sure your vertebral column, your spinal column is erect. Slowly close your eyes. Try to focus your awareness, your attention on your breathing normally, but with full awareness of each and every inhalation. And you'll also slowly start relaxing as you keep watching your breath. And now we will chant Om 3 times. As we chant Om, imagine the sound of Om to arise from your navel area and visualize the sound traveling upwards along your spine, cleansing your body, your mind. Kindly take a deep breath. Feel the reverberations of Om in each and every part of your body and feel more relaxation. Once again, slowly bring your focus on your breath. Now as you breathe in, chant the syllable Ma silently along with your in-breath. And when you breathe out, chant Om. So Ma when you breathe in and Om when you breathe out. Ma is a representation of divine love and Om of divine light. You need not visualize love and light, but just feel the reverberations within and feel your heart being filled with that love and light. Also, after chanting Ma, just observe the pause between Ma and Om, and similarly, the pause between Om and Ma, the in-breath and the out-breath, and the out-breath and the in-breath. Become aware of those pauses. Slowly and slowly the reverberations of Ma and Om become more and more subtle. And instead of the physical sound of Ma and Om, you can just feel the vibrations. Feel your heart being filled with that love and light and bliss and peace. Imagine your heart expanding like a beautiful bud that blooms into a beautiful flower. Imagine your heart also blooming, being filled with that divine love, divine light, and the bliss and the peace. Now visualize a ray of light going out from your heart, just like the sun's rays falling on each and every being. And as the light falls on them, imagine they also every being becomes more peaceful, more blissful, more loving, more compassionate. And while imagining so, we'll chant the Loka Samasta prayer 9 times. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Dhyayamo Dhvalapakunthanavatim Tejomayim Nashtikim Snigdha Pangavilokinim Bhagavatim Mandasmidashri Mukhim Valsalyamritavarshinim Sumadhuram Sankirtanalapinim Shamangi Madhusekta Suktim Amridanandatmikam Ishwarim Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Pariyandam Bande Guru Parambaram Srude Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Logashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Bhadarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritav Vande Bhagavandau Punah Punaha Ishwarau Gururakmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagini Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Amriteshwaryaye Namaha Om Amriteshwaryaye Namaha Om Amriteshwaryaye Namaha. Om Amriteshwaryaye Namaha. In the last session, we saw that the Devas were defeated by the Asuras, and the Devas had to vacate their abode, which was the heaven, and they had to go and hide. And Aditi, their mother, prayed to Kashyapa, her husband, who was a great sage, a realized sage. And Kashyapa blessed her, saying that the Lord will be born as her son. And similarly, according to his boon, we see that Lord Mahavishnu is now being born into Aditi's, or being born through Aditi's womb into the world. And we see that in the last one we were talking about Brahma, who was praising the Lord, and Brahma who was extolling because he knew that it was the time that the Lord is coming through Aditi's womb. And so, in one sense, also this is a beautiful time. Synchronicity is there. In Kerala, they celebrate this festival called Onam, which is connected with the same story of Mahabali. And so we are actually celebrating Onam through this story, and the reason why we celebrate Onam, it is because of this advent of the Lord and of Mahabali every year by the boon that was given to Mahavishnu, which we will look into later. So it's August 29th is Onam, so connecting the stories is really very synchronous. So Sri Shuka said, the Lord, whose deeds and prowess were thus extolled by Brahma, again manifested himself through Aditi with a form characterized by lotus eyes, yellow wearing cloth, and 4 arms holding conch, mace, lotus, and discus. He was of pure blue complexion. His hallowed lotus face shone in the brilliance of the fish-marked earring he wore, the Srivatsa mark on his chest, bracelets, armlets, brilliant diadem, girdle, and anklets were his other decorations. Beautified by the floral wreath, thronged by buzzing honeybees. And by the Kaustubha on his neck, Sri Hari scattered away all darkness from the Prajapati's ashrama by his brilliance. So now, Lord Mahavishnu, as I said earlier, you can call any name. Sometimes, as they say Sri Hari. Sometimes they say Mahavishnu. Sometimes they say Narayana. So it's the Supreme Consciousness which has come or manifested in a human form. And he's saying that the child was of blue complexion. In one sense, reminds me when Amma also was born, she was of blue complexion for the first 6 months, and then her father and her parents thought that there was something wrong with her, and they had consulted some of the physicians, and the physicians could not see anything. But after 6 months, it just slowly disappeared. And similarly, here the Lord is of blue complexion, and he had the earrings, which was like the fish marked, the Srivatsa mark on the chest, which is the sign of Mahavishnu, and also the diadem, the girdle, and the anklets. All this were the marks of the Supreme Consciousness or Mahavishnu, and also the Kaustubha gem he wore on his neck. Then the quarters and the oceans became serene. All men rejoiced while all the seasons turned simultaneously favorable. In the heaven, on the earth, in the intermediate region, on mountain tops, among animals and among holy men, there were jubilation everywhere. So when the Lord was born, with this very auspicious time, so it shows that the seasons were coming at the right time, and the animals, the human beings, the great sages and saints, everybody was rejoicing at his advent. And the Lord was born at an auspicious time called Abhijit, on the holy day called Shravana Dwadashi, during which the moon dwelt in the constellation called Shravana. The position of all the planets and the nakshatras declared the exalted future of that birth. So he was born at a very auspicious time, which is known as Abhijit. So every day there is this particular auspicious time. It's called Abhijit, and it was during this time that he was born, and it was Shravana Dwadashi. Dwadashi is the 12th day, and so it is very, very holy for the Vaishnavites, because and they celebrate that Ekadashi and Dwadashi, and then the exalted positions of the planets also declared that he was of a divine birth. If you look at the charts of great Mahatmas, for example, Amma's chart, there are 5 planets which are exalted in her birth chart. So, which denotes that the birth is of great use, and not only that, it will be of a very holy birth for which the earth will benefit, and the beings on the earth will benefit through that birth. O King, it was midday of the Dwadashi, that is the 12th day of the fortnight, when the Lord was born, so say wise men. That Dwadashi is known as Vijaya Dwadashi. And so it is this particular 12th day of the fortnight, that is Dwadashi. That particular Dwadashi was known as Vijaya Dwadashi. So that is, which means Vijaya means victory, and the Dwadashi that brings victory. And he's saying, so say wise men. Because in those days, they would not record the time of birth and all these things. And most of the time, when you go to an astrologer who is really not only just a mere an astrologer, but he is also a strong spiritual seeker, they would intuit and the time of birth. So that's why he was saying that, so say wise men, that the Lord was born at that time. So through intuition, they would understand the time of birth. And it's not calculation, nor just thinking, looking at the charts and all these things. So the boom of the conch, panava, mridanga, and drums of various kinds fill the air, mingling with the swelling harmony of turiya and a variety of musical instruments. So all the musical instruments were going, they were playing it, and then the Apsara women, that is the subtle beings, and it's in this case it's the subtle women beings, danced in joy while the Gandharvas sang. Beings of all species, devas, manus, pitris, agnis, siddhas, vidyadharas, kimpurushas, kinnaras, charanas, yakshas, rakshasas, garuda, and other birds and serpents all showered flowers on the ashrama of Aditi. So they all came and they showered flower petals, and Aditi was wonderstruck and filled with joy to see the Supreme Person born of her womb. And the Prajapati too was filled with joy and wonder to see him embodied as his own son through his mysterious power of Maya. So the Prajapati here is Kashyapa Prajapati. He was also wondering and he was just thinking about his power of the Maya through which he had begot his son. And Hari, who is pure consciousness, not perceptible to the senses, had assumed a divine form characterized by brilliance, special decorations, weapons, in order that his divine identity might be recognized by his parents and others. Having accomplished this all of a sudden, before the very eyes of his parents, he now transformed the divine form into that of a short-statured brahmacharin, which is known as Vamana, just as a stage actor changes his impersonation. So you remember when Lord Krishna was born? He was born as a small baby, but he showed all the divine marks only to his father Vasudeva, who saw that. But here, his parents could see, both Kashyapa and Aditi could see all the divine marks. And what happened? Immediately after they recognized that this was a great being, he was immediately transformed into a short-statured brahmacharin who is known as Vamana. Vamana means a short person. And seeing the Lord in the form of the Vamana, the sages were delighted. And with Kashyapa Prajapati as their leader, they had the post-natal ceremonies conducted. So immediately everything was being done. As soon as he was born, he grew up into a small Brahmin boy. And then his Upanayanam, that is a sacred thread ceremony, and was performed by the sun deity, the Savita, who initiated him into Gayatri Mantra. So this Gayatri Mantra actually is for the the sun deity. Om Tat Savitar Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prajodiyat. So that mantra is actually for the sun also. So Savita, that is the sun deity, initiated him when the thread ceremony was going on. Some of you must have seen that when Amma does the thread ceremony, she calls in the boy, and the boy and Amma, they are covered by a cloth, and then Amma whispers this Gayatri mantra into his ears. So, and that is what Amma does in there, if you are very curious to know what's happening. So what she does is she initiates the child into Gayatri mantra. And so similarly here what happened, the sun god itself, the deity of sun, that is Surya Bhagavan himself, initiated him into Gayatri. While Brihaspati is the guru of the Devas, invested him with a sacred thread. So Brihaspati put on the sacred thread, and Kashyapa the grass girdle. So there's a girdle that goes around, and it is made of kusha grass. And so he put it, his father, that is his father, put on the grass girdle. And the earth deity gave him the skin of a black deer. And Soma, the master of forests, the staff, Mother Aditi, his loincloth, and the sky deity, an umbrella. So each one gave him some presents. So it was earth deity, the Mother Earth, and gave him a skin of black deer. Soma, that is also related to the medicines, the master of the forest, the staff. Then Mother Aditi gave him a loincloth, and the sky deity, that is Akasha, the god of Akasha, an umbrella. And Brahma gave him the water vessel, the Saptarishis, Kusha grass, and goddess Saraswati, O great king, a string beads of japa. So Brahma gave a water vessel, the Saptarishis, the Kusha grass, and goddess Saraswati herself gave the japa mala. And to whose Upanayana, that is the thread ceremony, was thus completed, Kubera gave him a begging bowl. And as you know, Kubera is the lord of all wealth. So he gave him a begging bowl. That means you will never go without food and the necessary wealth that is required. And the supreme goddess and the mother of the universe, Sati Uma, gave him Bhiksha, that is the holy alms. So you must have seen that when the ceremony happens after that, you have to ask for Bhiksha. So the mother of the universe, that is Sati Uma, here you can say Parvati Devi, and gave him the Bhiksha. That Parvati Devi is also, what is it? The Devi of food, right? So Parvati Devi gave him the Bhiksha, that is the food. And that Brahmacharin, who was honored in this way by all, outshone by his Brahmic brilliance, even that assembly of Brahma Rishis. He heaped the fuel lit by the fire according to rites, placed twigs around it, worshipped the fire, and offered sacred twigs into it. So, in that, I remember that Bhikshan Devi, Parvati, that is, the verse is there. Pita me, that is, the Lord Shiva is my father, and Parvati Devi is my mother. And so in this way, Parvati Devi gave him the Bhiksha. And then even in that assembly where there were so many Brahma Rishis, that is Rishis who had achieved the realization, and also that they had identified with the Brahman itself.
And even in that assembly, they're saying that he outshone all of them. And then he also, according to the rites, he lit a pyre, which was also to worship the fire. And then he went around, offered the sacred twigs into it. And now, he now heard that the powerful Mahabali was engaged in the performance of a Ashwamedha sacrifice under the direction of the rishis of the Bhrigu family, headed by Shukra. And the Vamana, who was now endowed with all majesties, therefore started for the sacrificial campus of Mahabali. So here, he now heard that Mahabali, that is, who was the king of the Asuras, now he was conducting a Ashwamedha sacrifice. So he went there, and who was helping him to do that? It was Shukracharya, the guru of the demons or the Asuras. As he walked, the earth seemed to get tremors at every step he took. And Bhrigu and the other priests conducting the sacrifice on the northern bank of the Narmada at a place called Bhrigu Kacha saw the Lord come up close to them like the rising sun at dawn. O king, before the brilliance of the Vamana, the master of sacrifice and the assembled rishis paled into a mere shadow, and they began to wonder whether the august visitor was the sun deity or the fire deity or the sage Sanat Kumara come to witness the sacrifice. So when he was entering, all the great sages saw that somebody was coming, and with so much of brilliance that they were wondering who it was, whether it was the sun deity or fire deity or Sanat Kumara. And when the Bhrigus and their disciple were thus cogitating in their mind, the worshipful Lord Vamana entered the sacrificial hall, holding in his hands an umbrella, a water vessel full of water, and a staff. So if you had seen during the Onam festival, if you had seen the photographs, when Amma comes out, there is always that Vamana, small boy, holding an umbrella, who comes in before Amma. So that's what he's saying. He was holding the umbrella and a vessel, water vessel with his hands, and also a staff. And Hari, in the assumed form of the Brahmacharin, had a girdle of munja grass, an upper garment of the black antelope's skin worn in the fashion of ethnopavita, the matted locks on the head. So he had the grass as the upper garment, and then he was wearing it was in the fashion of the ethnopavita, means, you move from on the left, you put it on the left side to the right side. So he was wearing like this, and also the matted locks on his head. And as he entered, the Bhrigus and their disciples and the fire deity, overwhelmed by the radiating glory of Vamana, stood up automatically to receive him. So, when they saw the boy, and without any hesitation, it was just automatic. It was coming internally. There's another occasion which this happened. You remember when Lord Krishna went as a messenger into the Kaurava assembly, Duryodhana had told everybody that Lord Krishna is coming, nobody should get up. And everybody should, just be seated so as to ridicule Lord Krishna. But the moment Lord Krishna entered, the first person itself to stand up was Duryodhana. Because, he had to. There was no other choice. Seeing the brilliance, it is not external. And, like when Amma comes, we have that majestic feeling within us. And sometimes most of the times I forget to even prostrate. Just wonderstruck, looking with awe at the form, and you tend to forget to prostrate to her or do all the traditional things that you're supposed to do to a guru, and then you'll just keep looking at her. And your mind is filled with so much of divinity and joy and bliss that you don't do anything else. So that's the same thing that happened to them. They stood just automatically without any intention or any compulsion. And the master of the sacrifice, Mahabali, offered him a seat, delighted to see that handsome and attractive visitor whose limbs and body were well formed and proportionate. He then welcomed him with all courtesy, honored him, washed his feet, and worshipped him who sports in the hearts of all those who are devoid of attachments. So, what did Mahabali do? He welcomed, washed the feet of Vamana, and then offered him a seat. And he's saying that this worshipped him also. And where does he reside? He resides in the hearts of the people who is devoid of all attachments. So when all the attachments fall down, that's where you see the divine being sitting. And Bali, who was well versed in the rules of dharma, poured on his own head the water with which he had washed the Vamana's feet. So after washing the feet, he took the water and poured it on his own head. And for so sacred is that water from his feet that even Maheshwara carries it on his head with deep devotion in the form of the holy Ganga. So Lord Shiva, as you must have seen his form, the holy Ganga is coming out of his head. So it is said that it is the water that is the leftover water from washing the feet of the Lord. And Bali said, "Welcome to you, O Holy One, and my salutations. I look upon you, honored sir, as the special embodiment of tapas, that is austerity, which forms the glory of Brahma Rishis. Your arrival at my house today has brought satisfaction to my ancestors and purification to my dynasty. And this sacrifice that I have undertaken has become perfect in all its limbs. O Holy One, the sacrificial offerings that I make in the sacred fires will be true and perfect, because I, the sacrificer, has been freed from all my impurities by the water from your feet. And this part of the earth too has been sanctified by the contact of your handsome limbs and the tread of your feet." So mind you, these words are coming from the mouth of a asura, a demon. So you look at what he is saying and how devotional it is. And he's saying that, the sacrifice, Ashwamedha Yajna, has become holy because of your presence, and also the sacrificer, that is Mahabali himself, has been freed from all impurities because of the water from his feet. And O Brahmacharin, I presume that you have come here seeking something. Whatever you want, ask that of me, and it shall be yours. I shall grant you anything you ask for, whether it be cows, gold, house, a hearty meal, and a drink, a damsel to wed, prosperous villages, horses, chariots, or anything else you fancy. So Mahabali says, please, now I know that you have come here to ask something. So ask me anything you want. If you want a house, you want a meal, gold, cows, horses, chariots, or you want to marry a girl, anything that you want, just ask for it. So now, Hearing this cordial and righteous speech of Mahabali, the son of Virochana, the Lord was very much pleased and he replied. So Mahabali is the son of Virochana. And who was Virochana? Virochana was the son of Prahalada. So Prahalada was Mahabali's grandfather. So here, what happened? The Lord was so pleased because he was giving the right words were coming out of his mouth. And the worshipful Lord said, those cordial and righteous words truly befit the tradition of one like you, who has, as advisor in matters of spiritual, a teacher like Shukra, of Bhrigu's line, and an ancestor like Prahlada, noted for his devotion and poise of mind. So he's saying, your speech denotes that you have come from you have a good guru, that is Shukracharya, and you come from a good lineage, from the lineage of Prahlada, as your grandfather. In this line of yours, there has never been a man undignified enough to refuse the request of a holy man, or miserly enough to fail to honor the promise of a gift. Your royal family had never in it a member who showed reluctance to give a suppliant what he wanted, or one who tucked tail in the field of battle. Just like the moon in the sky, Prahlada shines in your house in his matchless and stainless glory. So he's saying, in your lineage, he was praising the lineage of Mahabali. There has never been an undignified person who would not fulfill the request of a holy person or a miserly, or promise a gift, or even, he's saying who gives refuge to a person who has tucked tail in the field of battle, means who has been defeated in the battle. And so they gave him refuge to the people who have failed in their battles. And then he says, Prahlada shines in your house. And then Hiranyaksha. So you remember Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, the two demons, who was born in this family. He was also a demon who was born in the same lineage. Could not get an opponent worthy of his steel when he traversed his whole earth, mace in hand, challenging everyone. So here Mahavishnu is even extolling Hiranyaksha. Even though he was a demon, that is the beauty of the Mahatmas. Even you're a bad character, but you have one good quality, they would actually project that quality. Whereas, as far as human beings are concerned, as Amma says, if you have 99 good qualities, one bad quality, they will project that bad quality in you. And then the 99, the good qualities are just totally dismissed. So what happened is, here, he's saying that Hiranyaksha, what happened? He was very strong opponent to Mahavishnu. And even Mahavishnu, who had to face Hiranyaksha when he undertook to lift up the earth, overcame him only with such great difficulty that he hardly considered himself the victor. So even Mahavishnu could not defeat Hiranyaksha that easily. That's what he's saying. So it's not that he could not defeat, but he is just praising the good aspects. And hearing of Hiranyaksha's destruction, his brother Hiranyakashipu was roused to great anger and went to Vaikunda. So the story is like, as you know, the Hiranyaksha who stole the earth and hid it under the sea. Then Lord Vishnu had to come as a boar to lift the earth from the sea, and kill Hiranyaksha. And so when Hiranyakashipu, his brother, heard about the death of his brother Hiranyaksha, in great anger, he went to Vaikunta, which was Vishnu's abode, to avenge his brother's death by destroying his killer. And seeing him advancing like Yama is the god of death, with a three-pronged trident in his hand, Mahavishnu, the arch strategist and dissembler, thought thus: wherever I go, he comes pursuing me, as the god of death follows creatures. So, in order to avoid him, I shall enter into his heart. For being a thorough extrovert, he is not likely to look within. O chief of Asuras, deciding like this with the trepidation in his heart, Mahavishnu made his form subtle enough to be sucked in by the Asura's breath and entered into him through his nose. So what happened? When he saw Hiranyakashipu coming, he thought that wherever he would go, Hiranyakashipu had also the power to go into all the worlds. So he knew that he will pursue him wherever he goes. So the only place where he would not be able to find the Lord will be his own heart. Because since he's an extrovert, that's why it's called an Asura. Asura means one who is looking always outside, enjoying all the comforts and the pleasures. So he will not look into his own heart. So Mahavishnu entered through his nose, through the breath, and hid inside Hiranyakashipu's heart. So when he failed to find Vishnu, in spite of a vigorous search of the whole of the empty Vaikunta, he yelled in fierce anger and raged all the universe, the earth, the heaven, the sky, the quarters, the oceans, the 14 worlds high and low, in search of Vishnu, but could not find him anywhere. And not seeing anywhere, he said to himself, I have searched the whole world, but my brother's killer is not to be seen. He must have gone the way of no return. So Hiranyakashipu searched, as I said, all the worlds, wherever he was, since he was gifted to go to different worlds, he went to all the worlds, searched for Mahavishnu, but could not find him. And death is the limit of animosity between embodied beings. For anger thrives on the ignorance-born I sense, which we maintain with regard to the body, and when the body of a person is destroyed, there is no longer any relevancy for anger towards that person. So he's saying, what is the limit of animosity between two embodied beings? It is death. So what happens when during death, the body is gone. And so when the body is gone, then there is no sense of I, because we are identified with the body. So when you don't have any anger towards the other person. And your father, the son of Prahlada, being endowed with great reverence for holy men, gave up his life to the Devas, who went to him begging in the guise of holy men, though he knew that these were Devas and not holy men. You too are following the dharma shown by householder rishis like Shukra and by your own heroic ancestors. So, which is the son of Prahlada. So, Virochana, and he was saying that his father, what happened? When holy men came begging when the Devas came disguised as holy men, even though he knew that these were Devas who were disguised, he did not care. He revered them, and what happened was he worshipped them And because of that, he was killed. So you too are following the dharma shown by the householder rishis like Shukra and by your own heroic ancestors. So he says, therefore, O king of Asuras, from you, the most noted among generous persons, I seek a small strip of land, just what is measured by 3 paces of mine. So he says, give me only 3 foot of land. I can measure the land with my feet, and all I need is 3 feet or 3 foot of land. And that's all I need. O king, I do not seek anything more than this from you, who are noted for your generosity and who are the master of all the worlds. For one should receive as gifts only what is absolutely necessary, and he acquires no sin thereby. So when a Brahmin is saying that when a Brahmin asks as gift for whatever is necessary, whatever is needed to maintain his livelihood, it's not a sin. But if it takes more than anything, so it applies not only to Brahmin, to everyone. If we take a gift which is much more than what we want, it is known as greed. It's not offering, or it's not a gift that which we are receiving. So he's saying that you should only take whatever is necessary. And Bali said, "O you stripling of a Brahmana boy, your words are no doubt noble enough to get the approval of wise men. So meaningful and dignified they are. But you still show signs of immaturity, a childishness in outlook. For you do not seem to know your own interest." So now Bali has not recognized who the boy is. So he's saying, making fun of him, saying that, "Oh, you little boy, you spoke like a really noble person. But look what you asked for. You just want a small strip of land, 3 foot of land. That's all you're asking for. And it's because of your immaturity and childishness that you're asking like this. And after having extolled and pleased me by words, I whom the master of the whole world have got the resources to make a gift of a whole continent, you ask of me a mere pittance of 3 feet of earth. Such a person must indeed be stupid. It is my principle that one who comes to me for a favor should have no occasion to depend upon another in the future." So he's saying, look, I am the master of 3 worlds. Remember, they conquered all the 3 worlds. And he is the king of all 3 worlds. That is the Bhumi, that is earth, the heavens, and Patala, the hell. So he's the master of all these 3 worlds. And he's saying, if you want, I could have given you a whole continent. But still, in spite of this, you are asking for 3 feet of earth. You are such a stupid person. And then he says, I have the obligation to give you whatever you ask for. So therefore, O boy, ask of me land sufficient to maintain you for life. So don't ask for just 3 feet of land. And the worshipful Lord said, O king, even all the pleasing objects of the universe will not be enough to satisfy a man who has no mastery over the senses. A person is not satisfied with 3 feet of earth, will not be satisfied by getting the whole of Jambudvipa with its 9 regions. He will afterwards aspire to get all the 7 Dvipas. So he's saying, look, if you are not satisfied with just the 3 feet of earth, and if you get that, and if you are not satisfied, even if you get the whole continent, which is known as the Jambudvipa, with its 9 regions, you will not be satisfied. Why? Because when you get Jambudvipa, then the mind will ask for more. And then you want all the 7 islands, the 7 dvipas, the whole of earth. And you want everything. And keep on asking. So he is saying, for a person who has mastery over his senses, even if you give everything, they will not be satisfied. So we have heard that even emperors like Prithu and Gaya, who were the masters of the 7 continents, were not satisfied with wealth and pleasure, which their power and position made available to them. So these kings like Prithu and Gaya, and they were not just king of one continent, they were the kings of 7 continents, which means the whole of earth. And they were not satisfied with that wealth and pleasure and their power and their position. Remember the story of Alexander, King Alexander, who had conquered the whole world at that time. And what did he do? In the end, he realized the same thing. That even if you have everything, it's not going to give you satisfaction, it's not going to give you happiness. So he says, a man who is satisfied with what chance gives him lives happily. So be satisfied with what you get through what is coming through your karma. But a man who has no mastery of his mind is dissatisfied even if he gets all the 3 worlds. And if a man gets even all the 3 worlds, if he does not have mastery over his senses, then he will not be satisfied. And the chief cause of man's entanglement in samsara is his insatiable longing for wealth and pleasure. It is his contentment with what comes by chance, and that helps the attainment of liberation. So it's saying, if you want liberation, what is it you have to do? You have to stop longing for wealth and pleasure. And just what chance gives you, what karma gives you, what the providence provides you, just be happy with what you get. And the spiritual aura of a holy man is enhanced in its radiance if he lives satisfied with what chance brings. On the contrary, dissatisfaction with possessions and enjoyments stifles it as water dams fire. Therefore, I shall take only 3 feet of earth from you, who are the most noted for generous men and capable of granting all the desires of a suppliant. With these 3 feet of earth, I shall feel fully satisfied. Wealth becomes a cause of happiness when it is just enough to meet one's bare needs, neither less nor more. So he's saying, I only want 3 feet of land. Why? Because he's saying, if with these 3 feet of earth, I should feel satisfied. And because if you have wealth, enough wealth, just to meet your needs, then you will always be satisfied with that. And that will bring happiness. And that satisfaction will bring happiness in you and joy in your life. But if you have more than what you need, then what happens? You will never be satisfied. You will never be peaceful. Because always, what will be the question? Who is going to take away my wealth? How can I protect my wealth? How would I preserve it? How would I give it to others? My descendants? So all these questions comes. If you have more wealth, that is what is needed. As I said many a times earlier also, they did a survey of 10 people who won the lottery, the first prize in the lottery, which was a minimum of a couple of $1 million. And what happened? They found out that out of the 10, 8 of them had either gone crazy or died by they had unnatural death, or they were killed, or they committed suicide. And what happened was the rest 2 of them were never peaceful after that, because all the people around them were clamoring for their wealth. So there's a beautiful example which says, like the eagle, when it gets a piece of flesh and it is flying, then all the crows will attack it for the piece of flesh. And the moment it leaves it, then it gets peace. So it's like that. Wealth is also like that. When you hold on more than what is needed, that will always bring disturbance mentally, physically, and also you will never have peace of mind. So that is what is the Lord saying here. So He's saying, look, I'll be happy with the 3 feet of land, so just give me 3 feet of land. So there's a beautiful lesson. Just take what you want. Do not take more than what you want, and be satisfied with what you get, and live happily with what you have. And there in the Onam festival also, there's an old proverb. So they say that Kanam vittum Onam unnanam, that is, whatever you have, you sell that and eat. Celebrate Onam with that, with whatever you have. So it doesn't mean that you should borrow a lot of money. It doesn't mean that you should have a big party. It just, with whatever you have, you celebrate. And that is the real joy. There is a real celebration of life. So here, with this beautiful point, Lord Mahavishnu is telling Mahabali that, look, this is all I want, and I'll be happy with what you give. So we'll stop here, and then in the next session, we will look at what happens from here onwards. Om Amriteshwari Namah. शक्ति दो जगदम्बे, भक्ति दो जगदम्बे, प्रेम दो जगदम्बे माँ। मुझे विश्वास देकर रक्षा करो, अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ। अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ।
शक्ति दो जगदम्बे, भक्ति दो जगदम्बे, प्रेम दो जगदम्बे माँ। मुझे विश्वास देकर रक्षा करो, अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ। अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ।
शक्ति दो जगदम्बे, भक्ति दो जगदम्बे, प्रेम दो जगदम्बे माँ। मुझे विश्वास देकर रक्षा करो, अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ। अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ।
शक्ति दो जगदम्बे, भक्ति दो जगदम्बे, प्रेम दो जगदम्बे माँ। मुझे विश्वास देकर रक्षा करो, अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ। अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ।
माते जगदम्बे माया तमनासे, अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ। दीनावनशीले गानामृतलोले, अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ।
माते जगदम्बे माया तमनाशे, अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ। दीनावनशीले गानामृतलोले, अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ।
स्वेदाम्बरवसने नीलाम्बुजनयने, अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ। सोमोपमवदने सकलामय शमने, अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ।
श्वेताम्बरवसने नीलाम्बुजनयने, अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ। सोमोपमवदने सकलामय शमने, अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ।
शक्ति दो जगदम्बे,
भक्ति दो जगदम्बे, प्रेम दो जगदम्बे माँ। मुझे विश्वास देकर रक्षा करो, अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ। अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे माँ।
करुणारस हृदये शरणागत वरदे अमृतेश्वरि जगदम्बे मां शिवदायिनि शुभदे मनमोहिनि महिते अमृतेश्वरि जगदम्बे मां मनोहर शमने सुखरूपिणि सौम्ये अमृतेश्वरि जगदम्बे मां ललनावररूपे लयकारिणि दुर्गे अमृतेश्वरि जगदम्बे मां
जगदम्बे मां मुझे विश्वास देकर रक्षा करो अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे मां अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे मां
अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे
अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे मां
अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे मां
अमृतेश्वरी जगदम्बे मां
गजमुख गजमुख गणनाथा
गजमुख गजमुख गणनाथा
गजमुख गजमुख गणनाथा
गजमुख गजमुख गणनाथा
गौरी नंदन गणनाथा
गौरी नंदन गणनाथा
गौरी नंदन गणनाथा
गौरी नंदन गणनाथा
गजमुख गजमुख गणनाथा
गजमुख गजमुख गणनाथा
गौरी नंदन गणनाथा
गौरी नंदन गणनाथा
पाशांकुशधर गणनाथा गणनाथा हे गणनाथा
गणनाथा हे गणनाथा
गणनाथा हे गणनाथा
गणनाथा हे गणनाथा
पाशाङ्कुशधर गणनाथा
शाङ्कुशधर गणनाथा
गणनाथा हे गणनाथा
गणनाथा हे गणनाथा
पशुपतिनन्दन गणनाथ
पशुपतिनन्दन गणनाथा
पशुपतिनन्दन गणनाथ
पशुपतिनन्दन गणनाथा
गौरीनन्दन गणनाथ
गौरीनन्दन गणनाथा
गौरीनन्दन गणनाथ
गौरीनन्दन गणनाथा
गजमुग गजमुग गणनाथ
गजमुख गणनाथा
गजमुग गजमुग गणनाथ
गजमुख गणनाथा
गौरीनन्दन गणनाथ
गौरीनन्दन गणनाथा
पाशाङ्कुशधर गणनाथ
पाशाङ्कुशधर
पाशाङ्कुशधर
गणनाथा
गणनाथ
पाशाङ्कुशधर गणनाथा
गणनाथ हे गणनाथ
गणनाथा हे गणनाथा
गणनाथ हे गणनाथ गणनाथ हे गणनाथ गणनाथ हे गणनाथ गणनाथ हे गणनाथ पाशाङ्कुशधर गणनाथ गणनाथ हे गणनाथ पशुपतिनन्दन गणनाथ
पशुपतिनन्दन गणनाथा
गौरीनन्दन गणनाथ
गौरीनन्दन गणनाथा
गौरीनन्दन गणनाथ
गौरीनन्दन गणनाथा
गजमुख गजमुख गणनाथ गौरीनन्दन
Sitaram, 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 Bol. Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Bol.
Sitaram, 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 bol. Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, bol.
Sitaram, 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 Bol. Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Bol.
Sitaram, 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 bol. Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Hari 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 bol.
Mukund Madhav Govind Bol.
Mukund Madhav Govind bol.
Mukund Madhav Govind Bol.
Mukund Madhav Govind bol.
नाम प्रभु का है सुखदाई.
नाम प्रभु का है सुखदाई.
पाप कटेंगे क्षण में भाई.
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 राम की महिमा ऐसे बोल.
श्री राम की महिमा ऐसे बोल.
राम की महिमा ऐसे बोल.
श्री राम की महिमा ऐसे बोल.
मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल.
मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल.
मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल.
मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल.
सीताराम, सीताराम, सीताराम बोल. राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम बोल.
सीताराम, सीताराम, सीताराम बोल. राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम बोल.
शबरी अजामिल सब सुख पाई.
शबरी अजामिल सब सुख पाई.
नाम भजन से मुक्ति 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 पाई.
नाम की महिमा ऐसे बोल.
श्री राम की महिमा ऐसे बोल.
नाम की महिमा ऐसे बोल.
श्री राम की महिमा ऐसे बोल.
मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल.
मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल.
मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल.
मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल.
सीताराम, सीताराम, सीताराम बोल. राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम बोल.
सीताराम, सीताराम, सीताराम बोल. राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम बोल.
बजरे मन तू कृष्ण मुरारी.
भजरे मन तू कृष्ण मुरारी.
नडन कर गिरिधर बनवारी.
गिरिधर बनवारी.
नडन कर गिरिधर बनवारी.
गिरिधर बनवारी.
कृष्ण रसामृत जीवित बोल.
कृष्ण सामृत जीवित बोल.
श्री कृष्ण रसामृत जीवित बोल.
श्री कृष्ण सामृत जीवित बोल.
मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल.
मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल.
मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल.
मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल.
सीताराम, सीताराम, सीताराम बोल. राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम बोल.
सीताराम, सीताराम, सीताराम बोल. राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम बोल.
सीताराम, सीताराम, सीताराम बोल. राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम बोल.
सीताराम, सीताराम, सीताराम बोल. राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम बोल.
सीताराम, सीताराम, सीताराम बोल. राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम बोल.
सीताराम, सीताराम, सीताराम बोल. राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम बोल.
हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, 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 Hari Bol, Hari 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 Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Mukund Madhav Govind Bol. Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram Bol. Radhesham, Radhesham, Radhesham Bol. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Hari Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Hari Om Namah Shivaya.
Hari Om Namah Shivaya.
Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Hari Om Namah Shivaya.
Hari Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Hari Om Namah Shivaya.
Hari Om Namah Shivaya.
Hari Om Namah Shivaya.
Hari Om
Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Hari 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 Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Hari 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 Om Namah Shivaya.
अमृतेश्वरी मङ्गलम् प्रणमदा मुक्तिप्रदे मङ्गलम् भुवनेश्वरी मङ्गलम् सुकृतिना एकादशी मङ्गलम् अमृतेश्वरी मङ्गलम् प्रणमदा मुक्तिप्रदे मङ्गलम् भुवनेश्वरी मङ्गलम् सुकृतिना एकाश्रे मङ्गलम् हृदयेश्वरी मङ्गलम् हृदिलसत्तेजोमयी मङ्गलम्
मधुभाषिणी मंगलम विजयदा प्रेमाकृते मंगलम विजयदा प्रेमाकृते मंगलम विजयदा प्रेमाकृते मंगलम. वन्दे अमृतानन्दमयी मंगलारति मादय भवानी अमृतानन्दमयी मादा वन्दे जननी अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी सकलागम निगमादिषु चरिते प्रेम भक्ति संदायिनी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी समदमदायिनी मनलयकारिणी अमृतानन्दमयी सततं मम हृदि वसदा देवी अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी परिदोधार निरंतर हृदये अमृतानंदमयी परमहंस पद निलये देवी अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी हे जननी जनि मरण निवारिणि अमृतानंदमयी हे सृज जन परिपालिनि दयदा अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी सुरजन पूजित जय जगदम्बा अमृतानंदमयी सहज समाधिषु धन्ये देवी अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी ओम जय जय जगजननी वंदे अमृतानंदमयी मंगल आरती माधव भवानी अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी जय बोलो सद्गुरु माता अमृतानंदमयी देवी की जय। असतो मां सद्गमय तमसो मां ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मां अमृतं गमय ओम शांति शांति शांतिः ओम लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम शांति शांति शांतिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम।